Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom, assalamu alaikum, adnastana. It's a pleasure to be back with you here on Points of Light Radio, and I'm doubly excited to bring you this segment, okay? Because it's very brief, but it's an important historical segment. In this particular installment of Points of Light Radio, I'm bringing you a part of an interview I did recently with a gentleman named Robert Cooper. Now, you may remember Robert Cooper. He is the former curator of the Masonic Grand Lodge of Scotland. You saw him earlier in like I said, in previous segments. He's also he's a historian, author, and Freemason, to give you the full title there. But he's here to talk. This is part of an interview, a little piece of an interview I set aside, where he talks about how the free gardeners and their rituals, their degree system has evolved. I really want you to hear this. And when it's over, okay, especially you brothers and sisters in the free gardeners, you're going to want to see this, and I am going to want your feedback. Now, just to briefly recap, the Order of the Free Gardeners is a fraternal society that was founded in Scotland in the middle of the 17th century, and it later spread to England and Ireland as well as other parts of the world. Okay, the oldest evidence of the order is recorded in the minutes of the Haddington Lodge, which opened on the 16th of August, 1676. I personally, and this is just me, I believe they're older, right? Now, although the Free Gardeners have always remained independent from Freemasonry, the history and organization of the two orders show numerous similarities, right? Prime example, much like Freemasonry, the Free Gardeners have 3 degrees, right? The emblem of the Order of the Free Gardeners is the square and compass with the pruning hook, right? The order is headquartered in Scotland. And as I said, from my research, the Free Gardeners have lodges in the UK, Germany, Africa, Australia, and now in Canada. Proud to say that, right? Now, you saw this organization covered here, and like I said, though, I can't wait to bring this particular segment to you, because there again, when we talk about fraternal, we've talked in different segments about fraternal evolution. You can see here how the Free Gardeners have evolved. So let's go show you this clip from Mr. Cooper. But as I always ask you, are you still thirsty for knowledge? Are you still searching for the light? Then you just trim your lamp and follow me, because you have to see this. No problem. Now, what about this book you wrote about the Free Gardeners? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you may know that I wrote a fairly brief history 20 years ago. What's happened is that since, and this always happens, once you publish something, a lot of people come forward and say, I know about this, or have you looked here or done that? So I discovered that there is a huge amount of material, not in one single place, but scattered across various archives. They have provided a huge amount of different and new information from that which I had 20 years ago. So the book is based on brand new research. So it's not even a rewrite. It's a complete revision of what was published 20 years ago. much more interesting, I think, than that, which was published 20 years ago, because we now understand a lot more from this new material about the esoteric content of the gardeners. And without going into huge amount of detail, because this is a different subject from the horsemen, but what we can now tell you for sure is that the ritual that is being used by the free gardeners today is the incorrect ritual.
Oh.
And this is a product of time. What's happened is over the latter part of the existence of the gardeners, which virtually ceased to exist in the 1950s, the 50 years, at least 50 years, maybe earlier, of their existence, they started to make the ritual briefer, shorter. They cut out big chunks of it because, well, for a variety of reasons, but basically the ritual was taking up too much of their time. And so, rightly or wrongly, they cut out big chunks of the ritual to the point where to be initiated into as a free gardener now doesn't take very long at all, typically 30 minutes. Whereas the original ritual was divided into apprentice gardener, journeyman gardener, master gardener, and also had additional degrees that were equivalent to the Royal Arch, the Knight Templar, and these were called things like husbandman gardener, the Knights of Ephesus, and so on, so on, so on. So, 20 years ago, I kind of thought that there was only one ritual that was only like 30 minutes or 40 minutes or so. Now we discover that there were, at least in terms of the equivalent of the craft Masonic degrees, there were at least 3 lengthy rituals. As I say, apprentice, gardener, journeyman gardener, master gardener, as well as all the other, what we would call so-called higher degrees. So that gives you an idea of just how much more information has become available. And I suspect that once we start looking deeper into things like the fishermen, the colliers, the horsemen, hopefully we'll find a lot more information as well, because it's likely to be out there. It's just a matter of discovering it.
Okay, brothers and sisters, especially you free gardeners, what do you think? How do you feel? Okay. Right. Let's briefly digress. Much like other fraternal orders, the free gardeners have evolved. They have evolved. Is that wrong? No, it isn't. All right. But on the other hand, does it hurt to take a look back? Okay. Is it possible to reintegrate some of these degrees into modern day free gardening? Okay. Is it possible? I personally can't see why not. Okay. But that is a discussion that we're going to have, that free gardeners are going to have within the organization. Okay. Right. But I can keep saying I love doing this. I really do. I love these kinds of segments because they really pose some questions and make us think as brothers and sisters, don't they? Right? So I welcome that discussion. I really do. Anyone else who wants to come onto this podcast as a guest and talk about this, I'd love to see you on here, right? But there again, let's get that discussion going, right? This is your chance, like I said, you free gardeners, to reflect and offer your opinion. But that I'm going to leave it there, okay? As always, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. I also welcome your comments and input. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. Okay, my Twitter handle is at PO Light Radio. You can see a link to my Spotify channel, as well as my Points of Light Radio store. This has been fun. Brothers and sisters, until we meet again, just step into the light.